Welcome back into the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast. Joined today by Nebraska alumni David Eickholt. One of Nebraska, the Huskers' biggest fan. It's so funny when every once in a while I love when people are like, "Oh, Iowa homer," and you're like, "You know where I went to college, right?"
Dude, I'm like, I graduated high school too.
You're from Nebraska?
I was born in Iowa, but I moved around quite a bit. But I'm like, dude, I literally lived in a frat house like 500 yards away from Memorial Stadium.
Wow.
For 2 years.
Wow. That explains a lot.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
I'm kidding.
Oh, absolutely it does. No, there's no question. No, it's so funny though, dude, because like I said, that's my favorite thing to pull out, especially like during this week. I covered Nebraska for 2 years too. Like
Did you?
the biggest journalist that covers Nebraska is Sean Callahan.
Yeah.
And I interned for him for 2 years.
Oh.
He was the one who gave me my startup in this whole shebang. We got rocking here.
Welcome into the show. Anybody who's joining live here on your day before Thanksgiving live power hour with Eickholt and Kluver. We'll, of course, do the preview show with Kevin and Grant tonight with special guest, another former Husker, Jeremiah Searles will be joining the show tonight. Probably the biggest, most well-received show of the year. No offense to you, David.
I get it.
You're the second favorite Husker on the Washed Up Walk-On podcast.
I was going to say, I've been listening to that preview podcast you've done, Jeremiah, basically since it started. It's good stuff.
That is, yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, but I would put money on the fact that that's our consistently most viewed pregame pod every single season.
I'm sure you get a large Nebraska contingency though too, especially when it comes to that show, because I know Jeremiah is really well received there. I know it's like him and like Adam Carricker. Yep. Like those are two of the bigger personalities too, former players that dabble in the space from time to time.
Yeah. And he's done a lot with, like I was going to say sanctioned, but like, affiliated with the university. Like I think he was like the radio play-by-play guy for a season or two. He's done a show that's produced by the Nebraska Sports Network. Like that's an in-house thing. He obviously has his own podcast and his own stuff. And now I don't know how much you've tuned into the last couple shows, but he's like an NFL agent now and an NIL agent, and so he's
smart to get in that space.
Yeah, he's dealing with that stuff, especially as a former player. When you've seen that side of it, and you can kind of be a for the players kind of guy, and so he's really diverse as a person in the football space. And I think our fan base enjoys him. He's just really good on a mic. For anybody who's listening to this show before that show happens, or maybe both of these are out, it's Thanksgiving, or you're on your way to family across the state or across the country somewhere. If you are seeing that and you're like considering not listening to it, go listen to it. It's our best one of the year. You'll hear 90% of Searles talk, and we're just kind of there to help guide it along. It'll be a fun one. We are brought to you by FanDuel. Shout out to them for sponsoring the show this season. And it is going to be a good one. We've got I was able to go through by suggestion last week. I did watch the Rhule press conference right before we hopped on here. There was some good stuff there. And he talked a lot about Iowa, how they're going to approach the game. I watched Coach Ferentz's post-game from Michigan State the other day. And, of course, the Tuesday presser from yesterday. All in total, a little over an hour worth of listening to Ferentz and Coach Rhule talk about this game. And it's a lot of the same stuff that you hear. On basically everything.
Laughing
and distracted because I just read this comment from
I was wondering when you were going to see that.
My cat Gabbo just passed last night while listening to one of your shows. Thanks for always providing us with chicken lips and autism. Chicken lips and autism could be the name of the show. Shout out to Grace. We'll get there later. Not sure that's the ad read they wanted. Will we break out the slow mesh this game? I'm doubtful since we haven't seen it since the Iowa State game. I don't know why we haven't used it.
This should be a game where Iowa runs the ball 50 times.
Yeah, and that's what
Nebraska can't stop the run.
Right.
They can't.
And we're gonna get
haven't.
There. No, they haven't. We're gonna get there too. I do want to. This is a mostly football show, but David does more than football. We don't really do more than football. We'll comment on other things, but there's things happening in the basketball world that I like to touch on when we have David available. And so, I wouldn't call it a massive game, but there was a big game last night for Iowa men's basketball, sort of a benchmark game, sort of a tester. Hey, is this team legitimate or not? The first maybe legit opponent, a 5-0 Ole Miss team coached by Chris Beard. And I went to sleep, of course. For those that follow the show know that I'm not staying up to watch that. No chance. Woke up in the middle of the night to go, baby girl's making some noise. Go put her blanket, tuck her back in, check the phone. Little Hawkeye dub. Little Hawkeye victory. Bennett Sturtz, 29 points.
He's so good. He's so good, dude. He just is so smooth. I think he's better than advertised. I mean, I think he has a chance to legitimately go top 15. And I think Chris Beard's a top 15 coach in college basketball. Like, that is a very good staple win for Iowa. I don't know how good Ole Miss is. Iowa was favored by 4.5, but, this really felt like, Tyler, the first true test of where Iowa stacks up, right? And I thought McCollum's coaching was fantastic. I thought Cooper Koch, by the way, who came back, the only scholarship guy to come back, 14 points, 10 boards, a lot of offensive, big offensive rebounds, made a lot of massive plays down the stretch. Just big performance from him, exactly what you want to see. And again, a redshirt freshman, because he got that extra year of eligibility since he only played 10 games last year. So this is a guy you can build 4 years around, right? And Ben McCollum loves the 6'8" guy, is versatile, rebound, shoot, 3-level score. It felt like a really good win. Iowa is favored by 8.5 tonight against Grand Canyon, but Scott Drew's a really, really good coach, and they like to play a lot of different presses. But again, when you have Bennett Sturtz, you're going to have a chance. Tavion Banks didn't have his best game. Alvaro didn't really have his best game, but made a few massive plays down the stretch. It's really hard, I feel like, not to be pleased with what you saw from Iowa last night. And again, the rims were really tight. They were calling the games very ticky-tacky. But ultimately, coaching matters. And I believe Ben McCollum outcoached Chris Beard in that game. And it just continues to solidify for me that, I do think at some point throughout Ben McCollum's career, he is going to be a top 5 coach in the sport. Well, he is just mentally wired and on a completely different level than a lot of coaches around his similar age.
We're getting really far ahead of ourselves with this question, and I'll come back to the nitty gritty of what you just talked about on last night's game and sort of where they're at right now in the season. But if McCollum continues the upward projection, and it's going to be harder in the Big Ten. He's not going to do with Iowa what he did with Drake last year. They're not going to just lose 3 games this year. I did see something this morning from a fan who posted, I don't know if this is just projected rankings, like power rankings or whatever, but if you look out onto the schedule right now as of today, they would be favored to win a crap load of games and be a 5 or a 6 seed in the tournament.
Would that be by Ken Palm or Bart Torvik? Probably.
I have no idea, but with how they've played up to this point, which is a little bit inflated, right? Because of competition, and you're going to get into a Big Ten schedule that grinds you down a little bit. It's safe to say that right now, right here in the comments, it says it gives a lot of confidence we can compete in the big and win a tournament game, which is really what Iowa basketball fans are looking for right now in year one. And then if he continues that, he goes to a Sweet 16. He maybe gets them further than that. I know McCollum said that this is a destination job. Does it become an issue someday where there is a chance it's tough to keep McCollum in Iowa City?
No.
You don't think so?
I really I take a lot of coaches and players' words with a grain of salt, and I think that's the way to approach it. But based on what McCollum said behind the scenes, and you're talking about a guy who turned down multiple Power 5 opportunities to stay at Northwest Missouri State.
It's true.
He won how many like 4 national titles there. He stayed there for 15 years. You think that he hadn't had offers before that? And I'm of the belief, and I have reason to believe based on talking to sources, if he did not get the Iowa job or it did not open up, Ben McCollum was not leaving Drake. He was going to go back to Drake. Yes.
Wow.
I like West Virginia was never in the cards. I thought that was completely overblown by a lot of people. Iowa got a steal. He's building a house. His kids go to school here. Like, he's got family here. He grew up an Iowa fan, and he's telling recruits on the trail, Tyler, like he wants to stay at Iowa for the rest of his coaching career. Now, again, you have to take it with a grain of salt. It is. I mean, you're talking 25 years. He's a young enough guy, but
because he's what, 43, 44 years
43.
old?
Yeah, about 43. The big deal for me right now is when it comes to McCollum and when it comes to the tournament. I think Iowa's going to be a tournament team. It's still very early, right?
They look like it.
Michigan's scary. Kpurdue is scary. Like the
Big Ten is
Michigan
scary.
State is scary. But what wins you games in March? There's three key factors, I'll say. 3 key factors. And Iowa checks every one of those boxes.
One of the biggest ones is a savage guard.
Point guard play. How many times have you seen a great point guard carry a team in the tournament, right?
Nope.
Coaching and defense. Those are the 3 biggest things that win you games in March. Now, again, I'm not saying Iowa's going to a Sweet 16. You have to see how matchups play out. We have to see how this Iowa team develops because at some point, you can't do what you did last night and give the ball to Bennett Sturts with 5 seconds on the shot clock and have him bail you out. At some point, the shot
can you? 6 of 8 from 3. Dude, some of his step backs are so nasty. I watched the highlights this morning. Dude, he is unbelievable.
He's so smooth. And like the thing is with him, and this was his biggest like asset when Iowa got him out of the portal. And again, he was always going to follow McCollum. He got offered money elsewhere more. Yeah. He said no. He plays at his own pace. I've never seen that dude get sped up or slowed down. He does exactly what he wants on the basketball court when he wants it. And people need to realize how freaking difficult that is. Like the fact that you have a guy who only got offered one school out of high school, which is a D2, and never gets sped up or slowed down. It's an incredible asset. Now, again, Iowa has players that can hit shots. Alvaro can hit shots. Alvaro still has not turned the ball over, by the way, through 6 games.
Sturts had 1 turnover in the entire game.
Iowa only had 1 in the second half as a team.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
That's going to win you games when it really matters most. So, again, shout out to the men. Thank God they won, by the way. Like, I try to remove myself emotionally and all this stuff, Tyler. If they had lost, they'd be playing at 11:30 tonight, tip-off.
Oh, my God.
I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
There's so many thoughts there.
At 6:30 too.
Yeah.
So I got the women at 6:30. Now I got the men at 8:30.
That's perfect. There's so many thoughts there, and it's probably why we have to have you back on at least monthly during the winter.
Yeah.
If not every 2 to 3 weeks, because we are in a new era. We've moved on from Lisa Bluter and Fran McCaffrey in a year's time, and we're in a new era. And it's so fun to cover a team with so much momentum and excitement, both teams. For the guys, I saw the comment that, people love to have their thoughts and pick things apart, poke holes. Is this a team? I have my own opinion, and again, I'm not a super basketball, don't follow them 100%, but I have my own opinion. Is this a team where if Bennett Sturts has an off night, they're in real trouble? Or are there players that can pick it up, and can Sturts, even if he's not scoring, because this is what I believe a great point guard does. If a great point guard isn't scoring like he normally does, I believe he can still facilitate the game and get his guys open, put them in the right spots, manage the offense, manage the shot clock in a way that still benefits the team greatly from his play, even if he's not putting the ball in the bucket at the rate that he normally does. What are your opinions on that? Because there's going to be teams where we'll just shut Sturts down and they're fucked.
Well, let me put it this way. I don't know how many teams can shut Sturts down. There's a quote last night from Chris Beard, and he said, It wasn't from a lack of game plan. It wasn't from a lack of effort. The dude's just a top 5 player, and he beat us. Like, he just beat us.
That's great.
And I'm like, yeah, weird saying that. I'll say this. There's going to be a night where Bent starts us off. Okay. Yeah. As efficient as he is, as great as he is, Iowa has pieces around him that are capable of stepping up. The bigger issue and by the way, like, Iowa's action as far as like just the play structure and their style,
so different.
It's at an elite level. And again, not that it's better or worse than France, because, you know, one thing I've been adamantly defending Fran about, he's one of the best offensive minds in college basketball. Like, that's not debatable. His motion offense will get you buckets, okay?
Yeah.
But McCollum's action, and like you saw, especially when I think it was Tavion Banks got dunked later, or I'm trying to remember who dunked it. Well, I don't think it was Alvaro. Oh,
they
Isaiah
dunk it
Howard.
A lot. They dunk so much, it's awesome.
Isaiah Howard got dunked, put him up 68-60, and Iowa's always willing to make the extra pass, and they have multiple bigs that can pass the ball. My thing is, do they have guys that are capable of creating their own shot outside Sturts? Okay, that's where the bigger problem for me lies. The other problem I have is Iowa, I thought, was really good on the glass last night. I am worried about this team when they go up against 2 7-footers. I'm worried about this team when they go up against elite athleticism. Like, again, a Purdue, a Michigan. Like, Cam's done some really good things. Tavion Banks is a junkyard dog. He did not have a good game last night. I think we see him kind of get back to where he normally is tonight against Grand Canyon. I don't know if they could survive, but I also don't think they're super solely reliant on Sturts. The only time I see them overly reliant on Sturts is when the shot clock gets low. They're like, all right, here you go. Go do something.
Which
that's not going to fly next year when you have to replace a point guard.
It is very NBA-esque. Like you throw on the playoffs and they're like, okay, we're just going to give it to our superstar. And the shot clock's winding down and Steph has the ball, or LeBron, not so much anymore, but in his prime, they just give LeBron the ball. Hey, buddy, do your thing. And it's a little bit of like, all right, Bennett, here you go. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves, because you can't just win games with one guy. You are going to need other guys. But I like what Alvaro has done. Manial, like there's pieces there that can, and they can all get better. And it seems like, again, with coaching, that is what advances guys and progresses guys faster than other teams or other situations. So it'll be fun to watch. On the,
I mean, again, I think from an X's and O standpoint, I think Ben McCollum is a top 10 coach in college basketball. Like he is just mentally on a completely different level. And again, like, even diving into his press conference aspect of things, Tyler, like, he's so incredibly transparent and self-aware of what he has, and he's unapologetic about it. He'll be like, Alvaro needs to control, you know, like, he needs to temper his emotions. Well, you know, like, Elliot Clough asked him the other day during his press conference, like, what do you do when you have a Tate Sage or Trevin Urok? How do you get him ready for the stage? And he just looked at the camera, Tyler, and he just goes, you throw him to the wolves and see what happens.
Yeah, he's very upfront.
They can do it, and I'm like, I love that. And again, we've talked about from Kirk's perspective or other coaches, right? When you approach things like that, you are going to get more wiggle room from the public because they see you can recognize the good and the bad of what's going on in your team.
McCollum gives off a lot of the same press conference energy that Lester does.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think that fans I think the fans like them. They are endeared to the fans a little bit because of just the way they're honest, and like they'll talk about it, and it just is what it is. Courtney makes a good point. Hey, how often does McCollum do a press conference? Why not just keep the show up? We might have to dabble with that. Me and David or Grant can hop on, and I know Grant.
I was like, I know Grant's been begging. Begging to do more college ball.
We have a fun little segment on the show running where someone people just comment Ken Palm 52, and Grant has to off the top try and guess which team it is, and he tries to keep up daily with the Ken Palm ratings. It's pretty funny. Austin says, my guys. Austin, what's up, brother? Thanks for being in the chat.
That's my guy.
We have a women's team that's playing pretty well too, although rough fourth quarter against Miami the other night.
Not great.
Got it done though. And then, you know, the day before that beat Baylor, who was maybe a little bit inflated on a ranking there, but still a good game against the Baylor team who had probably the best individual player on the court And the
Talia
women are
Scott's crazy.
She's good. She's good.
She's good. The other thing is with this, really quick, is that game against Miami, Florida, Tyler, they lose last year. Like, how many times did Iowa get down to the – like, that's the biggest sign of growth to me is the fact that they went 8 minutes in the fourth quarter without a point and they still won.
The Strem show.
That's the game they lose last year, 1,000%, especially in that January stretch. Remember, they lost 5 straight in January. But every game, it seemed like it went down to the final 3 minutes. So the fact that you have a young enough team and they're able to kind of overcome that adversity, overcome all of that, it's a good sign.
Overcame a couple injuries too through those 2 games. Some not so great shooting percentages, just not exactly in a rhythm. But they walk away with a trip to Disney and come back to Iowa still undefeated. Both teams still undefeated. How do we feel about the women? What are women expectations this year? Where are we at, David? What's the temperature?
I mean, I think they can make a Sweet 16.
Yeah. I think they have the talent to. Yeah.
I think next year and the year after it could be scary. Like, again, Jan knows she has a good team. I think everybody knows Iowa's like a tournament bound team. They have a chance. It depends on the matchups. But like, again, you want to live in the moment, but like think about 2 years from now.
I know.
Senior Ava Hyde, junior Layla Hayes, senior Chit Chat Wright, a sophomore McKenna Volichko. And I'm telling you, this is my bold offseason prediction. They are going to get one more elite player out of the portal. And they're going to try to make a really, really big run next year. And by the way, Ava Hyden was the easiest breakout pick that I'm ever going to have. And I think everybody's going to have. Like, she is she's going to be All-American good next year. Like, elite. She's really damn good. She's so too.
Yeah, she's so quick for how long she is. And maybe the length helps, but like she is, again, the way they coach posts to establish position before they get the ball, how they position themselves around ball movement down there in the like it's really, really good stuff. And it creates that efficiency, but then you also have to finish. And they're crazy good. Stremlo caught fire a little bit. I know Chit Chat got hurt, but she's been really good for them. And then you have all these other players that are like, I mean, Addie Deal has been she's
going to be fine. Like, that's why I keep like, she's in her 6th career game as a true freshman. Like, people, again, not to bring it back to Caitlin, but like Caitlin was such an exception.
Yeah. Different
to every rule ever. Like, you can't have those expectations on a freshman. But the other side of it too is like, Chit Chat's going to be out tonight. By the way, she's battling like multiple minor injuries, and like I think Iowa's probably going to be favored by 30 a night. So there's really no point in even trying to play her. But you're right, and I'll go back to what Raina Harmon told me last year at Media Day about Ava. She goes like, she's the best rim runner. Like, she reminds me so much of Megan Gustafson, the way she runs the floor. And I think Ava's faster than Megan was at Iowa. And I think Ava has more shooting range because you know why Megan Gustafson's in the WNBA right now? It's because now she can hit corner threes. She can hit jump shots. Like, as good as she was at Iowa, she was not making a shot outside of about 7 feet. She was just that damn good in the post.
And we didn't ask her to and didn't need her to, but
exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff going on between the basketball teams. That's 24 minutes of basketball talk, a little bit of football at the beginning. I know people came here for the football. We want to first thank the sponsors. Gray's Gourmet To Go is going to be slinging Thanksgiving meals tomorrow. They're giving back to the people. They're doing Thanksgiving big. They cater the Ferentz Thanksgiving every year. I'm sure there was an elite meal either one of the last couple days in the complex for the boys. And they can outside of Thanksgiving, they can just cater a dinner to you. They do to go better than anybody in Iowa City. We've had a ton of people stop in to the location and take a picture with Pete. Pete's sending us pictures all the time, like big walk-on fans in the store today with their chicken lips, taking pictures with the flags they got in there. So we appreciate everybody's support. I think the partnership with Grays this year has been pretty great, and we hope to do more with them. Obviously, great people. The Swarm, all those players and names you just heard, we're going to get into the off season of football here. The NIL, the portal, transfers, who's going to replace all these offensive linemen, all these defensive linemen that we're losing, a bunch of other spots that we got to talk about as we get into the off season and head to 2026. And the Swarm is going to matter. So if you can and you're able and you like supporting the Hawks, iowaswarm.com, and that collective will continue to be big for the top 10, 15% of those rosters. You have thoughts on that, David?
No, there's an interesting story that just got released
breaking
by CBS
news
Sports about Nebraska, but this will pay dividends. Nebraska preparing for Dylan Raiola to possibly enter the transfer portal, and informal conversations with other programs about potentially entering the transfer portal have already occurred.
And this is sourced?
CBS Sports.
Wow.
Yes.
Holy shit.
There's a sense in Lincoln that the offseason may be different as Nebraska is preparing for Raiola to explore leaving. His younger brother, Dayton Raiola, decommitted last week, sending the rumor mill into action. Dominique Raiola, father of Dylan and Dayton and a former All-American at Nebraska, declined to comment when reached out for the story.
And his uncle or whatever has been getting railed for their offensive line performance.
Any transfer decision would not be about the money.
Well, no, he's going to make a shitload of money anywhere he goes. Wow. So this is interesting because when he got hurt and Latif comes in and plays against UCLA.
I think you and I talked about the off-air last week when I was like, dude, I'm telling you, I really think he's going to go.
Well, so they've got this Trey Taylor kid, big-time recruit, like a 4-star out of Illinois, I think.
Their 27 class is freaking loaded. They have nobody in 26, but I'm pretty sure that's just because they're going to go into the portal with a bunch of FU money and just try to get everybody they can.
Yeah, which is a way to go about it.
With that schedule next year, I think they're going to need to because it's not a freaking cakewalk like they had this year.
Yeah, they messed up this year on
this is Nebraska fans might give me shit for this, but I'll flat out say it because a couple of their writers have alluded to it. This is Nebraska's Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
this season. They've called it arguably the most important game in the Matt Rhule era, and they basically said if they lose to Iowa, they're not trending in the right direction. What's the difference between year 3 of Frost and now?
Yeah, I had a little primer yesterday where I gave some macro thoughts on our season and this specific game, and I concluded the Nebraska conversation with they are once again using this 12th and final game of the year against the Hawkeyes as their benchmark, kind of taking the temperature of where their program is.
It makes sense.
It does, but does it this year with a hurt quarterback, a guy who's is he a true freshman or a redshirt? And he's in his third game.
How many times have they been like, oh, how many times does a backup quarterback had to go against Iowa? And I'm like, Iowa's won with a 4th-string quarterback. They won with a 3rd string. They won with Deacon Hill. I don't want to hear it.
When you win games with Deacon Hill, you can't come to us with that conversation. I understand it. I don't think that as a Nebraska fan, and I'm not going to change any minds here if you're listening. I don't think that it's the smartest thing to do to hang your program's state of the program on this game this year. You've got Latif in game 3. He's going to make Raiola was still making young guy mistakes this season. He was, holding on to the ball, 9 sacks versus Minnesota. A bunch of these things.
It reminds me of Shedeur Sanders a lot.
And it's you now expect Latif to come in against a defense, and I can get to the comments from Rhule. Let me pull those over to the other screen here so I can read them.
Didn't he basically be like, there's no coach I probably respect more in college football than Phil Parker?
Rhule's
he's asking if there's bad.
Yes. He said, there is no coach in the country probably than I respect more than Coach Phil Parker. Rules in football are designed for teams to score, and he has had a dominant defense for 20 plus years. And it's just there you go. And do you expect Latif in game 3 of his career? We've talked about this, and I think what Aller did last year in the Penn State game was it last year or 2 years ago? I can't remember. Is they had a quarterback who was patient enough to sit back and pick the Iowa defense apart and take 6
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Iowa is asking you to beat them that way, because every defense that is played has a a weak spot or a negative to it. And the negative to Iowa's defense is on a consistent play-by-play basis, if you have a quarterback that is patient enough and an offense that is patient enough, you can dink and dunk them. The problem is that teams cannot consistently do that drive after drive for 14, 16 play drives. You can't do it. You mess up, you turn it over, you take a sack, you get off schedule. Somewhere in there, you screw that up. And the guy who's running that this game is going to be TJ Latif. I don't think he's patient enough or good enough to do that against the Iowa Hawkeye defense. I just don't.
I think Iowa really needs TJ Hall.
It would help.
I don't know what his status is going to be because I think Nebraska's wide receiver core is actually pretty dangerous.
They're talented.
I think they have a lot of really good. I think they have a lot of really good players. I think Iowa's gone against a hell of a lot of talented wide receivers.
I was going to say we've been battle tested this year for that.
They have, like Indiana. I mean, I throw in Michigan State. Like I know Michigan State's not great, but they have some really talented wide receivers on their football team. That's probably the strength of their team as a whole. And by the way, shout out that Michigan State quarterback, man. I thought he threw a really nice ball. Like
he did, man.
He had some dimes. And honestly, man, he took so many hits. That dude's tough as hell.
I respect.
He continued to get up.
Not just hit the quarterback. I respect their whole team for coming in and fighting like they did. I mean,
yeah, they didn't look like a team that had given up on the season.
No, they're in a bad spot. And Coach Ferentz said that in his press conference too. It was very clear a couple weeks ago. They made the decision of how they're going to finish the season, and it's resulted in a super close, I think, overtime game against Minnesota. They took Penn State to the second half, third quarter. That was pretty competitive, and then they just took Iowa down to the wire as well. So like that's respectful of what they've done, even though they're just crushed. I mean, I can't remember who did it. Maybe Doctorman in the press conference sort of analogized. Is that a word?
Sure.
No. He compared it. He compared it to Kirk's first year when they were struggling in the Big Ten. They finally got a win against Penn State, and he referenced that. He's like, "You got any advice for Jonathan Smith?" And he's like, he was laughing because he's like, "Don't try and sell that you're making it close these days because that's not going to work."
Yeah.
But
I thought it was a really good answer from KF too. Like he actually put some good effort into answering that. It seemed like he almost genuinely wanted to help. The other thing I would say is this: when it comes to Latif, he's more mobile than Rhule. I think that's a big deal. They're going to look to get him out to the outside, specifically roll out to the right side. But I think Phil's going to do exactly what they've done against younger quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I think he's going to blitz the shit out of him.
I do too.
I think they're going to try to force some bad decisions made by him. I think Zach Lutmer is going to be – I think if Zach Lutmer gets his hand on the ball, I think he houses it. I really do. Like it's almost to that point, and I have no other reference other than like the one pick six he had. But like if he gets a running start and he gets a little bit of open space, like he's not a guy that goes down easy. Again, Cooper Light. I think they're going to blitz that.
Very excited for him in the return game.
Yeah. I think that's going to be – I think that's – by the way, if Cain Weech – by the way, I have a hot take.
Oh.
Shocking.
Love that. Here we go.
I think there is a legitimate argument that Cain Weech is the best returner in Big Ten history. Like
you're not going to get an argument. You're not going to get an argument from me.
Did you see the stat where it was like the most return yards in a season? He's at like 537, seventh all time in the Big Ten. Yep. He's like 120 or 30 yards shy of the all-time record.
Which was in like 1942.
The guy with the all-time record, by the way, had 40 returns. Do you know how many returns Weechen's had this year?
19.
19.
Yeah, he's done it in half the returns.
And I'll tell you, it was interesting. I think Doc was on Iowa show last night with Chelsea a couple nights ago. Chelsea Brown, Jack Leto, and KCRG, and he said that Weechen's gonna be a superstar at the NFL level.
I'm curious. Devin Hester made an entire career out of just being a return guy.
That's exactly who he compared him to.
Might need to slow down on that one, but
he is Iowa's
Devin.
Doc can make that comparison if anybody.
He can.
I'll give him
He
that.
can. Yeah. Scott's established himself where like there has got to be some respect on that opinion. I will say this. I agree with you in every sense of the. I put this on Twitter. I put this on our recap podcast. I will argue, and I've seen, and people are trying to come at me like, "Oh, were you even born when Tim Dwight was playing? You watched a couple highlights." No, brother. When I was on the inside, I say that like I was a SEAL, a Navy, a Marine. When I was on the inside, brother, we had access to every rep of every Iowa football game played going back to like 1989. So on the internal hard drives of like film storage, I watched every single return and kick rep, field goal, Nate Kading, Tim Dwight, going back to the Tim Dwight era. Okay. We had a lot of time on our hands, and that was specifically our job, was to study special teams. I seen every Dwight return. In today's era of kicking, it's different. It is set up so that the coverage team has an easier time. The spread punt with the shield, it allows the coverage team and the punter, not to mention the advanced techniques that punters have now been able to grab, rugby, Aussie guys. It's so much harder in today's age to succeed as a returner, and Wein has done it in less attempts than the guy David was referencing as far as single season yards, than Tim Dwight did in his career, total returns and total yards, total touchdowns. It's just I'd have to go and look at Big Ten. I know Dwight is the namesake of the award, so he's probably considered. I think it's a double name. It's the Dwight something, or the something.
Yeah,
Dwight.
let me
pull that up. I think
Ohio State.
Yeah, so the Big Ten. Oh, is it
Is it Ginn?
Yeah, is it the Dwight Ginn returner of the year? Sounds right.
Johnny Rogers.
Oh, Rogers.
We knew. Yeah, I knew that too. Yeah, Johnny.
So,
which fair enough.
Yeah, I think he's in the conversation. I really do. He's got 2 games left. He currently has the average, the all-time average, and he could just fair catch it and just take that average to the bank. I don't think he's going to do that. I think we've got an opportunity there.
That dude does not want to fair catch. By the way,
no, he's
Rob. All the advanced techniques, Tyler. It's worth noting the Nebraska punter can punt left-footed or right-footed.
Crazy.
This one. So you talk about the advanced techniques, like this is going to be matchups, and Nebraska's had a lot of chances to win games this year, and they just haven't. But like the one thing you have to say, I thought KF nailed it yesterday in his press conference. The most improved aspect of this Nebraska team is their special teams. Mm-hmm. It is significantly better. Like they have flat out lost games against Iowa due to their special teams in years past, and they're the reason they're winning games now.
The K Ford rankings, which we reference a lot on this show, Nebraska at one point was the top 10. I think they're still top 15 in special teams rating. Iowa sitting around 10th, actually, after some lapses in performance earlier in the year, kind of over the course of the entire year. It was announced that LeVar Woods, as a special teams coordinator, is on the Broyles list for best assistant in the country this year, and he's on there with Mike Eckler, who is the special teams coordinator in year 1 at Nebraska. So both of these teams' special teams coordinators are on the list of potential top assistants in the country. And when asked about how they stop Wein this Friday, amongst a bunch of other things, he talked about how just purely fast he is, how fearless he is. He said, "That's why I hired Eck. Like that's why I hired Eck," meaning Eckler. And they feel more confident about that area of the game for their team this year, and they should. It's better. Wein has been able to take advantage of nearly every team this year outside of Oregon, who is one of the better coverage teams in the country. Didn't punt a lot, and it was sopping wet that game. It just, you weren't going to get a whole lot out of it anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what Wein can do.
Yeah, and I want to relate it back to Nebraska too. Something that we should mention about this Husker team, and I know you guys will really dive into it with Cyril Snipe. Like the key of the game, you want to make Latif uncomfortable. You have to slow down Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, he's good.
That dude's legit. By the way, Iowa really thought about offering him, and I think they still. Obviously, I thought they should have at the time. I think that's proven to be right. Emmett was not offered by Minnesota. He wanted a Minnesota offer really, really bad because he could go for. And I thought it was a great ad for Nebraska in this. But, like, again, you talk about a guy that is not in the finalist for, the Doak Walker Award. I think he certainly had his case. He's really freaking dangerous, dude.
He's extremely fast.
He's extremely fast, but he's also really powerful. Like, he forces missed tackles, shakes off wimpy tackles, and Iowa fans might not like hearing it, but he's the type of player that is going to give Iowa fits if they have the tackling performance like they did against Indiana. If they have the tackling performance like against Oregon. You can't miss those because he will turn those, 3 or 4 yard gains into 12, 13. Yeah. If you miss the tackle at the first line, at the line of scrimmage. So big opportunity, I think, for Aaron Graves. I think a massive opportunity for Iowa's defensive line.
Got to play better on the D-line.
I think Iowa's going to be extremely aggressive when it comes to trying to force the action with Latif and Johnson. Like, force them to make quick decisions. And then I think they're going to trust the tackling on the perimeter.
Coach Ferentz was encouraged by the prospective health of the offensive line. Talked about, which was, not our greatest day against Michigan State. We were banged up at multiple spots, and he said that all of those guys felt better on Monday, 2 days ago, than they did the previous Monday heading into that Michigan State game, and felt better than they did on Saturday. And so he likes the overall health and maybe potential performance there of our offensive line, which is obviously going to be a big factor in this game because, as David previously mentioned in the show, Nebraska, their biggest weakness is stopping the run. I'd actually love to pull up their stats on that.
I'm doing that as we speak.
Yeah, they don't stop the run. We're just gonna pull it up here. We'll just go straight to this. Rushing defense.
Yeah, they're
100th in the country.
Yeah. How much this season they have allowed sorry, 1 second. Near 177 yards a game.
Ooh, that's really bad. That's so bad.
That's why I said Iowa should throw the ball 13 times.
You have a offensive line that was a finalist for the Joe Moore Award, or that is a top 10 finalist or whatever. You have a senior center who is super senior center who is a top 3 finalist for the Outland Trophy. And
by the way, did you hear what Logan Jones said about Nebraska yesterday?
I did. I put that down on here.
He said he wanted a Nebraska offer, and Nebraska told him he was too small.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because he was an All-American defensive tackle. Like, I get it. He would have had to put on weight, but, like, he's an All-American. Right. Committed to Iowa, and then Nebraska offered him the next day. And by the way, this will be his 50th game started at Iowa. Tyler, he has never started in Memorial Stadium because he had the high ankle sprain a couple years ago.
Wow. Interesting.
So this is his first time playing in Memorial.
Nice. Yeah, it was funny. And he kind of ended that quote with like, well, I'm super happy I ended up at Iowa. If you want to win games, come to Iowa. And if you want to do what they do,
you'll be shocked at Nebraska fans and the response they have.
Oh, yeah. They took that and ran with it, man. They're like, they came after Iowa and everyone.
Well, it's the same people that wanted to play Noah Fant at defensive end. But, it is what it is.
Low key, Noah could have been an elite defensive end. I don't think Noah had the mentality. I think his vibe and his mentality probably didn't fit with defensive end. He's better suited for tight end. Athletically, though, he could have played D.
Yeah, but you also, like, if you see an athlete like that, you let him try out at both, then you decide.
Or maybe you just should have played him at both. That would have been fun. Except for Travis Hunter is like on the IR now and tried to play both ways in the NFL.
Which is the least surprising thing ever. Like, I love Travis Hunter, but like, you can't do that.
Yeah. Let's see. Coach said everybody had every faith in Drew to get it done. That could come up as a big factor, as 4 of the last 7 of these games have been decided with a last-second Iowa field goal, which is unbelievable. It's got to be the most – talk about pain. Like, we've experienced pain this year in big games, Indiana, Oregon. This I almost feel for Husker fans in the fact that they have had to experience game winner after game winner after game winner in this Heroes matchup. And, man, is like to be on that side of things, it's got to be emotionally tough.
I mean, I think Iowa is responsible for psychologically breaking Nebraska as much as any team.
Yes.
Over the course of the last 10 years, like 15 years, right? Like you'd rather get your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
Your ass handed to you than lose on a field. Like, and again, it's time and time again. And Nebraska has like shot themselves in the foot repeatedly, but Iowa, even Iowa did a couple times. Dylan Rayola's was it Rayola's freshman year? Where like Iowa went back to back. They each team threw a pick in the final minute. That
2
was
years ago.
Meter.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
It was 2 years ago. But it really is incredible just to watch like what Iowa has done in this game. Credit LeVar Woods a lot. And again, I think you talk about winging between the margins, Iowa special teams, doing the little things. Like I think Matt Rhule nailed it in this press conference, by the way. He talked about Iowa is just so stupidly comfortable in close games. And that's why they pull it out. And I mean, you and I have talked about how many times on this show about Kirk, LeVar, Phil, talk about getting, treading in deep water.
Yeah.
Make the uncomfortable comfortable. When you're out of breath, you just find a way you trust your training, you go into that mindset. Iowa's done such a good job with that. But the other side of it too is, and this is a stat I think Chris Hassel put out, Iowa has the longest road winning streak against Nebraska, like that Nebraska has suffered against any team over the past 65 years.
Wow.
Iowa's won 6 straight.
That's crazy. We had that over Iowa State too until we messed that up this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, that game's going to be really interesting. I'm very interested.
Matt Campbell to Arkansas?
Well, apparently Arkansas made a hire.
Oh, did they?
The show started. Well, unofficial, but somebody reported that was the South Florida coach. Alex Goals?
Yeah, who I think Hassel and them know.
I think there's some connection there.
Cool. So Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell to Penn State.
There was rumblings about, but I'm gonna get a lot of shit from Iowa State fans. He has not turned down the NFL and 2 blue bloods to stay at Iowa State. That's just not what happened whatsoever. I don't care what anybody tells you.
He's in an interesting position. Probably a whole other podcast.
He should have left earlier. Like, with all due respect, I respect what he's built at Iowa State, but I also think he probably should be in contention for more high caliber jobs than the credit he gets.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's
it's so hard to win at Iowa State. And what he's done has been, quite frankly, borderline incredible. I think he's really good football coach.
Overperformed for sure with what they have over there. You mentioned how Rhule says they're just so comfortable in the close game. They really are. And I think about my time there, and I think about how when we got into those games, it just kind of felt like that's how it was supposed to be. We weren't ever looking up and thinking, oh my God, it's close. It's coming down to the wire. It just felt kind of normal for us. And it's continued to be that way for a decade since I've left. And they really are just that comfortable. I was on a radio interview earlier this week, and someone asked, what's the player's mindset when they look up and they're up against Michigan State and they're like, oh my God, we might lose. Are they worried? And I was like, they never think a thought similar to that one time until it's zeros. That's just not how they're wired. So, last couple of things I thought it was interesting. He talked about how they spend a good amount of time on this Iowa game in the off season and as well as in bye week. And so this game is on their mind. It is more important to them than others. And I think that comes out when you hear them talk about how the program will be measured. This is a good step of progress if we can beat Iowa. And then they also
saw what happened the last team that said that.
Yeah, he talked about how he told his guys they control winning football games. And this was sort of in response to like, how do you approach this game? How do you go about this final game of the year? And I think that's a great answer. I think the issue with that is for them over there to talk about how they can control the game. It doesn't work really good when you play other teams who are known for controlling the game.
Correct.
So I don't know if they're in the right mindset. The other thing I took away from Rhule's press conference from other times I've seen him speak is he seemed distracted to me. He seemed like he wanted to get, not in a bad way, but like he wanted to get out of there. He wanted to get back to the film room, back to practice. They're on a really short week. They got back late Sunday from Penn State.
Do you think that the Penn State result helps or hurts them? I'm undecided about it.
I think it puts a little bit less confidence in their offense than they might have had coming out of the UCLA game.
Okay.
I think defense and maybe a little less confidence in their defense after getting shredded by a team that they went in probably thinking like, hey, all of these Big Ten teams other than Michigan State have been able to beat Penn State. We should have a chance here. And then they just got rocked. I think that they just went up against Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, and now they have to go up against the Iowa running attack. And I don't know if they believe that they can get it done. I'm not sure. I don't know if it really sways it either way. It's probably a wash. I think that they don't. Yeah. I think they don't give a fuck, David. I think they literally only care about this game, which could be a downfall. I think that's football, but
I think Rhule also knows that the fan perception and the media perception is you have to beat Iowa to earn the extension that you got.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's a real float about that, especially since, by the way, the funniest narrative I've seen about Nebraska, this is hilarious to me. They made every excuse for getting their ass handed to them by Penn State. They're like, well, if Iowa played that team, that highly motivated Penn State team, they would have gotten their ass kicked too. And I'm like, go back to what the narrative was when Iowa beat Penn State. What was it? They are a highly motivated team. All the fans are like, that's the most motivated they've looked all season. They fought, and it was true. They got their tails off.
I'll give it to them that
it's
harder to win in Happy Valley than in Kinnick Stadium.
No,
for sure.
No question. But like I'm talking about like the pure motivation or the pure talent aspect of it, that's just stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's stupid. That was just like and again, Nebraska has been decimated by injuries too.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think they're a pretty decent football team. I think they obviously have their shortcomings. But again, I think you talk about controlling, your own team controlling whether you win or lose a game. The big issue I had about Rhule's comments and everything, not issue like from an Iowa side, but just from like an objective media member. He talked about, well, if you guys are all the way bought in, like get on the plane, this, that. If you aren't, like get on the bus. I'm like, you're near the end of year 3. You got a big ass extension, and you're still preaching your team if you're all the way in or out.
Yeah.
That's an issue to me.
Yeah. I don't know if and I know that it's not a direct representation, but the way that he talks, the way that some of their players talk, the way that some of their fans talk about the program, I don't know if the infrastructure they have there is quite in the place to win this game yet. I don't. And still, and still, I think it's going to be a game exactly like it has been the last 10 years. It's going to be a 3-point game. I do find it interesting. It would be great. I mean, he'd have all the confidence in the world. He'd have all the confidence in the world from last week after, missing some kicks that were big time kicks this year. Iowa, Nebraska. Oh my God, it's up to 6.5 on FanDuel.
That's what it is now. Wow, that opened at 4.5. I believe.
It was like a week ago on some places. It was like a pick 'em almost, and now it's at Iowa.
I never saw that.
It's Iowa up to a touchdown with an over under of 38.5. My goodness, that is basically like a 23-17 game. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be that kind of game.
That tells me that they think Iowa's defense is really going to rattle Latif.
Yeah.
Because again, I actually think Nebraska's offense can be fairly explosive. I know they've had their duds this year, but like they have talent on that football team, dude.
I know.
The offensive line does, and
shout out to FanDuel for the all the juice is just The shout out to FanDuel for the lines all season long. Iowa -6.5, over under 38.5. We'll see what happens. We are just about 48 hours out from game time. Are you going to be there?
Yeah. I'm have Thanksgiving with my girlfriend and her family, and then I'm going to drive to Omaha, stay overnight in Omaha, and then probably get up at about 5 in the morning, shotgun espresso, and then head over to Lincoln, get there by about 6:30.
Love that. That's perfect.
I hate game day traffic. I hate Black Friday traffic.
Yeah.
And like, especially on game day, I'm just like, dude, I'm getting there early. I don't care if I have to sit in my car for an hour before I go in.
Sure.
Like I don't like it.
Well, there you have it. David Eickholt will be on site covering the Iowa Hawkeyes in Lincoln for the final game of the regular season. Gave us a little bit of basketball insight today as well. A great show, a little press review.
I'll say this too. I need to shamelessly plug myself. We have 75% off. HawkeyeInsider.com.
Oh, a little Black Friday deal.
Sean has a 2,500 word recap and rewatch and takeaways from last night's win over Ole Miss.
Come on.
Recruiting's up, football's up. We're rolling 3 deep into coverage. Women play night, men play night. I'll be on call all night. But we're churning out about 8-9 content items a day. Message board's going crazy. It's time to hop on board. Support local media, dude. HawkeyeInsider.com.
Absolutely. HawkeyeInsider.com. David with 247 doing big stuff over there. Constant flow. Just a constant feed of stories coming out about Iowa men's, women's basketball and football and a bunch of other stuff.
Signing day next week, by the way, I believe.
Signing day. Big time.
Coming up.
Thanks for everybody for listening. Come and support the show tonight with Searles. It'll be a great one as always. We'll see you then.